toilet.
Here we go!
Here it comes. Yeah, we talk games.
Full of bullshit and energy.
Our focus always rambles off topic,
But we keep the format anyway.
Schmootkins, the robot sex bot. Stinky stinks so bad he smells.
We take turns choosing the games that we review.
Even Mario's Hotel. Come on, characters, nobody likes you. Let desire fuel your confidence.
Are you ready for our game weekly?
Come on, we talking now.
My nipples were about ready to crack off. It was so hard. It was so cold in that restaurant.
Well, Wiggly, your nipples should be hard with excitement. This is We Talk Games Arcade Weekly, an arcade review podcast brought to you each Monday free of charge from your friends over at WeTalkGames.com. And hey, if you're new to the podcast, let me drop a dime. This is We Talk Games, one of the longest running video game podcasts ever. We're a podcast that has interviewed the likes of Tommy Tallarico, Nolan Bushnell, Ralph Baer, Trip Hawkins, and many more. We're a podcast that takes pride in finding the hidden gems of video game history and bringing them to you, the listeners, so you can enjoy them. And guess what? This week's podcast is no exception. Wiggly and I are both very excited to talk about this week's game.
I cannot wait. Kyle, I only have one question.
What's that?
What's a podcast? Pa-dum-bum-bum. Dee-dee-dee-doo-doo-boop-boop-boop.
Run.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
We're getting buff.
We are getting NOVEMBUFFER. Yeah, man. Turd. NOVEMBUFFER it is. We are fresh at the We Talk Games podcast. You know what I love?
We're tired, too. It's fucking late.
Doesn't matter. We're ready to go. We're going to crush this session.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned that. Gonna crush it,
This
man.
podcast session.
Crushing this session, baby. But the best part, I think, of being in the same room doing that podcast together is we can hear each other pee when we go to the toilet. I really like that.
So you heard that, huh?
I heard it a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into today's game, and let me tell you, I was so happy I found this game, and I knew it was going to be right up both of our bowling alleys.
Yeah.
Because we've done games like this before. It's a mini game.
I think this is the...
Two-player mini game, but it's a versus mini
We've
game.
only done two of these, this being the second.
Wait a minute. I said it's a versus mini game. What the hell other type of mini game do you do unless you're versing somebody? Either computer or somebody else. But yeah, okay, so we only did that, but we
love
ones.
We love the first one that we reviewed.
We certainly do.
Yeah. This one is no different, actually.
Right. As you know, Stinky the Game Master is running for President of the United States.
Oh.
He's here to just talk to us a little bit. Come on in, Stink.
Hey guys, hey, thanks for letting me be here. Can I have a microphone?
You can use mine.
Hey, I just went out for Japanese food. I had one of those. You know, you get those rolls.
Yeah.
Sushi rolls. I had the Vlasic pickle roll.
Oh, nice. I heard that's very good.
Very good.
Your maraschino
They
cherry
didn't
roll.
They didn't have asparagus. I got the chiclet roll. No, but seriously, I'm here to talk about a lot of things that are concerning today's youth.
You're going to try to win the youth vote? What do you really know about kids today, Stinky?
I don't even think that you and I relate to kids today.
I'm 50. How old are you? You're like 25.
33. And we talk about games that are
baby.
fucking 25 years old.
You're a baby.
They gotta let me speak here. I only have a little.
You two, shut the fuck up.
What are you mocking me? Is that your thing now?
So I'm not used to having you in the room.
The President of the United States? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
I know what resonates with the kids.
Oh, yeah?
Here's, for example, today's kids know that a saying like, if you sleep with your sister, you should at least have the decency to fucking marry her. Now, I know that's a saying that wouldn't go over very well with the kids.
Oh, my God.
Like, I know saying something like, hey, why does Dr. Pepper come in a can?
Oh, man.
Like, hey.
I like where this joke is going.
Like, because his wife died. I know that wouldn't resonate with the kids. I know not to say that. I know, like, to say, hey, What do you call a woman that only has 2 brain cells?
What?
Pregnant. I know that wouldn't resonate with the kids, especially with the ladies.
Oh my God, Stinky. Are you going to get out of here now?
I want to give you a little taste of why you should be following me on Twitter. Here's Stinky's USA security protocol. I know the kids are worried about security. Not only these jokes are inappropriate, but they also know that they're safe with me. I know other people want to build walls. Other people say that they didn't compromise the sensitive information. Well, I say, Hillary, why don't you release emails that you say didn't compromise national security and release emails that do compromise national security? Let the people decide if what you released didn't compromise national security. But here's my full USA security protocol. Number 1, if the USA receives a threatening letter, simple. You just write on the letter, return to sender, no such resident. And you put it back in the mailbox.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. Number 2, if the USA receives a threatening call on the telephone, the telephone rings.
Right.
You're sitting there reading the paper.
Yeah.
You got to go to the telephone stand.
Yeah, sure.
Take it off of there. You got the extra long cord. Put the little swivel thing on the receiver of the cord so you don't get it tangled up. Very simple. They call you. Easy. Say, wrong number. And then you hang up. Boom.
Okay.
Number 3, if I, as the President of the United States of America, with the United States of America under my presidential protection, am threatened directly on the television tube or on the YouTube or whatever it is, I have to enact this time. Okay, so here's a terrorist. I'm going to terror the USA. And then I would say, as the President of the United States, I would say, oh, yeah? And then terrorists would, of course, say, yeah. And then I'd say, oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And then, they go on for a little while. And if the terrorist continues to give me static and I no longer feel like saying, oh, yeah, I'll tell them very politely, I'll say, I'm sorry, all threats must be submitted in writing via the United States mail.
And then you can go back to step 1. Yeah, I like that.
Return to sender.
Yeah, good. That's smart.
Address unknown. No such resident.
Well thought out so far.
And here's Hillary. Hillary releases sensitive. Here's my data security and encryption plan. Easy. All correspondence between United States of America security agencies must henceforth be written using cursive handwriting.
Oh, very clever.
Yes, indeed. The kids know not only about the wife being dead and the brain cells, that they know cursive is indecipherable.
That's right. I don't even know if they teach it anymore.
They don't.
Yeah.
Why bother?
Well, yeah.
You don't need ciphers. You don't need to send smoke
signals. You ever look at a script Z? Fucking blow your mind.
You don't need that. You don't need to have the Navajo wind talkers. Don't need to have ENIAC figure out how to do bomb runs and all that. And number 5, I'm pretty sure that covers everything.
Okay, Stinky, that's
thanks,
your great plan. Okay, now can we get on with our show? How are we doing on time?
No, we're only 30 minutes in. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. So this week we're going to talk about a fantastic mini game. These are games in the arcade. Now we talk about what, Gun Bullet.
I'm just wondering who's still listening.
People that are going to vote. Right. By the way, Stinky's a write-in.
Yeah,
he's a write-in, and I seriously
during any election period, doesn't have to be presidential.
No.
It could be like for your town comptroller or something.
Or you're taking a test.
Yeah, put his.
Don't answer anything. Just say Stinky for president.
Yeah,
2017.
Vote Stinky.
Vote Stinky.
Or vote Stink, whichever. What are we talking about this week?
Well, I was mentioning Gun Bullet because most people have played Gun Bullet because it came out for the PlayStation. Called what? Point Blank?
Yes.
Yeah. So Point Blank 1.
It's the only reason I still have a tube television in the house, so I can play that on the PlayStation.
So much fun to play against a friend. Did Point Blank 2 come out in the States? I think it did.
Yeah.
Gun Bullet 2, of course. And we played a lot of other games. We played some Namco. That was by Namco, right? Those were 2 Namco games.
Yeah. Bert and Ernie, Namco style. Those 2 floppy head looking guys. They look like Muppets.
That's funny because this game by SEGA has some old characters, shall we say, that are part of this game. This game is called Taisen Tanto-R. Sasi-Su. You know Sue?
Boy named Sue?
No, now she's all sassy. Sasi-Su. Taisen Tanto-R, Sasi-Su by SEGA, 1996. This game was part, and you'll know because it's -R. That's the giveaway.
Yeah.
If you import. The funny thing about importing the puzzle, oh, I forgot to mention, it's part of the Puzzle and Action series. And I imported the actual Saturn versions of these games. The first puzzle action game actually came out for the Mega Drive.
Really?
Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. That came out in 1992. And the only things that my friends knew what to call this game was Puzzle and Action. Because the first one was called Puzzle and Action.
Oh, she turned off the...
A submarine has just entered our studio. The first game in 1992 was called Puzzle Action Tanto-R, and then came Puzzle and Action 2, Ichidant-R.
Okay.
As I mentioned about the R.
Yeah.
Then Puzzle and Action Sando, which didn't have an R, surprisingly, but it was also called Treasure Hunt. That was the first puzzle and action game to come out in the United States of America, or in the West, you could say. And
What
then,
system
of
was
course,
that on?
that was on the Saturn
Okay.
and PlayStation.
Oh, all right. I'm familiar
it's
with
also
both those systems.
Probably on the Wii Virtual
Really?
Console.
Oh, okay.
And I think it made its way to a couple other things. Probably not. And, of course, today we're going to be talking about Taisen Tanto-R, Sasi-Su. Now, let's go to TT Schmootkins with TT's Snap Stats.
Hello, I am TT Schmootkins, and this is TT's Snack Chart. Taisen Tanto-R, Sasi-Su is registered Circle C 1996 by SEGA. The board was created to run on the STV, Sega Titan video game system hardware. Cartridge ID 610037357. It featured 1 or 2 player gameplay with a maximum number of 2 players, maybe. The control board featured an 8-way joystick and for some reason, 6 buttons. Taisen Tanto-R, Sasi-Su, roughly translates to Tanto-R collecting competition. The graphics were displayed 320 by 224 at 59.764793 Hz, CRT 15 kHz in a horizontal orientation. Its ROM dump is good. I repeat, dump is good. Good dump. Dump. Titty's Natural Snap Hatch is brought to you by Dr. Tung Tung's Tung Tung Sauce and by donations from Grants. Back to Kyle, Wiggly at the submarine races.
Okay, as I was mentioning, there are 4 games in the Puzzle and Action series. You mentioned Bert and Ernie from Gunbullet. Well, the Puzzle and Action series actually starred the Bonanza Brothers.
Oh.
And did you ever play Bonanza Brothers?
It's sort of, that's why you had it up on your screen
like,
before.
Right. It's like Keystone Cops.
Yeah.
Except with funny-looking dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Robo and Mobo. And it was split screen, so you'd like race against each other, but
Right.
it had that Keystone Cops feel if you played the Atari 2600. That was
Yes.
one of my favorite games.
Yeah. Keystone Caper.
Keystone Capers, that's
Yeah.
it. Not Keystone. Well, Keystone's Cop. They were the Keystone
That
Cops.
is one of my favorite
It's a great
games
one.
as well.
But surprisingly, the game we played, I didn't know was part of the Puzzle and Action series initially because it doesn't star either of those guys.
no,
It doesn't say
they're
Robo
not
or
on there.
Mobo.
Yeah.
Let's talk about who this does star, and then we'll talk about the different types of mini games that are included.
Well, I
with
hope
this.
you can read Japanese because I don't know any of these characters' names.
Well, let's talk about what they look like.
Okay. There's little girl.
There's a girl. She has some glasses on her head. She has a swirly on her shirt.
Yes.
There's like a new cartoon or something that came out a few years ago with a swirly. Because I saw a kid with a tattoo of this, and I thought it was the Dreamcast logo.
Okay.
But it's a really like sloppy looking swirly.
Huh.
Anyway, here's swirly's not floppy. Anyway, you have a kitty cat and a dog.
Catboy and Floppy Dog. What was I calling him? Droopy Dog? No, I wasn't calling him Droopy Dog. I don't know.
I hate dogs. I don't know.
Fuck. There's a girl. There's a cat with a beanie. He's looking
It's like
sly.
a guy that thinks he's a cat.
Yeah,
I think.
there's
Furry.
a Floppy Dog. happening. And then there's the pinstriped suit gangster who I played as.
Gangsta.
Yeah. And then there's Bender from Futurama.
He is until something happens to him.
And then there's an old man who we realized after the fact, his face looks like a pinus.
Okay. All he is he's bald.
Eyebrows with a dong hanging off a forehead.
He is a bald guy with a wrinkly forehead. His eyebrows are, of course, 4 foot long and white, like an old man's.
Yeah.
And his face
is a dong.
Behind that is a penis. However, it is just saggy eyes, very puffy, saggy eyes.
Seeing nuts.
I know. It looks like that. And
it's like one of those things, like once
face.
you see it, you can't unsee it.
It is. So those are your characters you get to choose from. That is exactly 6 characters.
Right.
There's no hidden characters, so don't worry about that.
We played as all of them except for the dog.
No one played as his dog?
Yeah, we didn't play as a dog because you were like, I don't fucking like dogs. And I was like, I'd keep winning as this gangster guy, so I didn't change out.
Right. Yeah. So there's an interesting thing about this. And once again, nothing like Puzzle and Action were the Bonanza Brothers. I remember they were like knights in shining armor, and there was all different types of different play mechanics. This one...
Oh, before we go too deep, can we talk about the art style a little bit?
Oh, right!
I think it's important that we express what the art style looks like.
So this came out in 1996. There was also another game that came out for the PlayStation in 1996 where there was an onion.
Yes.
Who was in a dojo teaching you how to parappa the rap.
Right.
His raps. These people in here are also flat, except that instead of being a dinky pancake flopping around, what did we call them? Color forms, I guess. We thought they were color forms. These guys are like thick pancakes.
Yeah.
But they're flat, front and back.
Right.
But they have a
very similar
thickness.
art style.
Incredibly similar.
But they came out the same year. So, I gotta imagine Parappa came out first.
I don't.
But
how could it?
Both would have to be in development at the same time.
I think that you had a little bit of cross contamination going on here.
Yeah.
Some people around the good old sake bar.
Sure. And Parappa gets a lot of credit because a lot of people were trying to do realistic 3D on the original PlayStation.
And here comes.
And Parappa the Rappa was such a deviation from that, but it utilized the technology at the time and did something very creative and fun.
Yes.
And it gets all the credit for doing that, but this game equally does the same flat, cartoony comic book style, and it gives the characters a little more depth. Like you said, they're not as paper thin.
No.
There are characters within this game that are paper thin, but these guys are kind of, I'm going to say blocky, but I don't want people to think blocky as far as polygon
You don't think
blocky.
Legos. Think Parappa the Rapper, except with a bit of
with a little
thickness.
depth. Yeah, think of it as instead of being paper thin, they're an inch thick.
Exactly.
Yeah. But they move and they look like, and they imbue the same essence of a Parappa the Rapper with their art style.
The drawing of the characters, the almost like they were drawing
black strokes for their outlines and
a felt marker.
Yes, yeah.
And every time I would win, I would go like the onion did. And there is one dancing stage.
Oh yeah,
we don't want to go in all those.
Yeah, before the stages, even the way it starts out is really creative. You pick your character, and you're at what looks like to me a poker table.
You're at a poker table,
and you got some coins in front of you, and you're actually gambling your pot.
Right, you got
against one another.
Both start with $10,000, which is odd. This never came to America.
Right,
and you start with, and all the language is in kanji and katana.
Right.
Some Chinese characters and stuff like that. And even one of the mini games, you're dealing with
the
coins.
first one I picked.
Yeah. Wait. No,
there was icons that were very specific as far as, that's a bomb. That's people running. That's a shopping cart. Here's a bunch of kanji. I'm gonna click this first.
Right. Which that game is like Parappa the Rapper, except it's more like Simon. So you have 4 blocks, which are the Japanese characters for up, down, left, and right.
Yeah.
And
could have been arrows.
Could have been arrows instead.
They decided not to do that.
But it was up, down, left, and right. And I was able to figure out, up and down were pretty easy because they had a line at the top and then sort of, something pointing vertically coming down from a top or coming up from the bottom. So up and down were easy. Left and right look very similar, except that one has a line and the other one has a box.
You figured it out, though.
I figured it out properly.
And I just copied you.
We still made mistakes.
Yeah, we still fucked up.
Most people could get to 12 different types of Simon-esque. It's like Simon.
Yeah.
Instead of like a Parappa is beat based. This doesn't. You can go to any beast. Although you're on a disco stage, which is odd. There's no rhythm to it. You just press them in order.
You're just you got to beat the clock.
Got to beat the clock, and you got to press them in the proper order. You get that, and then it's all over. It's a one-hit game.
I want to get into the mini games because I'm very excited about this game. But I do want to mention that each mini game is worth a certain denomination of dollars that you're betting. So when you pick a stage, it might be worth $5,000. If you lose $5,000, and you're taking the $5,000 that you win from the other opponent if you do win.
Exactly.
And then if you bust, you're out of the game.
Right. It's pretty cool because just like in poker, you take giant stacks of money, and sometimes they're usually just yellow chips. Then they'll also bring in the red chips.
And we didn't find a reason to strategize like picking mini games with lesser amounts to make sure you stay in longer.
And let me tell you, when you play the single, and that's how I came about this title, I didn't care about that either.
Right. It's cool that it's there. It's not a big portion of the game mechanic,
right?
But I like that it's there because
I think there's 8 mini games, and I think the reason that you would have those stacks of money and actually get into that back and forth is if you chose the same mini game again and again, because the point value of that mini game goes down.
Right.
Like you could just pick one mini game and keep up with that, but because we chose different mini games each time, if you won 2 times in a row, you put them in at a negative. They went into the red.
Not as many mini games as the other title that we discussed last year.
It disgusted me. But the games are very, very fun. So let's go through them sort of in order. One of the things is, what did you call it? Puck?
Shuffle
air
puck.
Shuffle puck. It's just that air puck type of game.
Sticking with Beat the Clock. What a shit game show that was.
I remember it, but I'm also thinking of Beat the Devil. What? Oh man, I was a young kid, and it was sort of like Beat the Clock, except the devil was in it for some reason.
And you beat the
actually
devil?
Satan.
Wow,
Satan the devil.
Holy shit!
But as we mentioned, this shuffleboard is very, very funny.
It's
because
Pong.
Your hand, it's Pong. No,
Pong with
it's
breakout.
It's shuffleboard.
It's air
Not
hockey.
shuffleboard, air hockey.
It's air hockey, and there's some breakout happening.
But
where
you don't see your character. You only see their arms from the side, and their arms are like 18 feet long.
Yeah.
So you can move your arm back and forth, and this is only one button plus a joystick. Sometimes you don't even use a button.
We still had to set like 16 buttons to get started with this game, but
I told you we only needed one.
Yeah.
So this game, it's like a 3/4 view and try to air hockey the puck around. Now what's neat about this is that, well, not only the design of the board looks like a standard air hockey table, except that the closest part to you, the stencil says, "Get money."
Yes, money is power in this game, which
It
it
is.
constantly reminds you.
So you, of course, have that little area that the air hockey puck could go into when you play regular air hockey. But the blocks to the side of that little area are actually breakout blocks.
Yes.
So they take a couple hits, like 3 hits apiece, and then they burst into being empty spaces.
Right.
So now you can try to air hockey to those empty spaces, and it's a 2 out of 3 game, and you can win a lot easier. You can even get the whole side empty.
Yes, and you use the joystick to move the hand back and forth to block, and you use the button to give the puck some English to
You
move it
hammer
across.
on it.
Yeah. And you basically just end up smashing on the button to hit it.
It's so good, so fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, that game.
This is a game you have to play with another person. I imagine you can have a good time playing against the computer.
Yeah.
But having somebody next to you playing this game makes it so much more enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. When you play the computer, it's more about finding out what the fuck you're supposed to do.
Yeah, sure.
But when you play against another player, because you're both on the same level of not knowing what to do, it's a lot more fun. The first game that I happened to play was the E of Hearts. Or is that a 3? That's a 3 of Hearts. Was the 3 of Hearts. You're playing poker. It's so weird. You're playing poker, but there are mini games that you choose, and they have little, drawings of what the game is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And this is the first game I played, which was, I thought it was going to be like Joust. So you have 2 balloons above you, and you can fly around like Joust or like Balloon Fight. Yeah. But you shoot arrows.
Yeah, it's more like Puyon, if you ever played that.
You don't have to be higher.
No.
You can shoot arrows at the balloons. And the neat thing is you can aim the arrows angularly, like up or down. And you can be on the ground and shoot up. And the arc of the arrow, it's very good. Physics mechanics, how they did this. And your goal
doesn't feel cheap. The mechanic of it feels very thought out.
Exactly.
It could have been its own little arcade game on its own. And what's cool about it is you can run out of arrows, as you actually gave me a heads up about, and you can pick up the arrows that have landed onto the ground.
Right, because when you miss, the arrows will stick into the ground.
Right.
Or if you hit someone like in the body, it'll bounce off of them and then stick in the ground.
Yeah.
So you got to imagine that this is not just balloon fight. This is those balloons with your parappa, the rapper-looking characters dangling from them.
Yeah, you have 2 balloons above your head, and the first person to knock out the other person wins. It's another 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and they fall on the ground and they look like they've completely broken their backs.
Yes.
So that's a fun game. Then there's a bomb game that reminds us a lot about that. What was that? Penguin
Wars.
Penguin. Oh, that's another game I loved.
Yeah. Again,
in that game,
it's got like a Pong type of mechanic, but instead of bouncing a ball back and forth, you're throwing bombs at one another that are timed.
Exactly.
And the goal is to get the bombs to explode onto your opponent's field.
Right. So when it hits 0, it explodes. And
I figured out that strategy real fucking quick.
You did pretty well.
Yeah.
But you could bounce the bombs into other people's bombs that are coming towards you, and it'll reflect back at that person. And if a bomb is at 0, it will not blow up in the middle of the
until
stage.
It's in somebody's field.
It will hit their line, and then they will blow up.
So you
like
play
a
that
giant
strategy of like holding a bomb until it's ready to blow, and then keeping a bomb that has a longer duration, so you can use it to bounce back bombs that only have like a 1 or a 0 counter on it.
Right. That's the problem, though. If you hold on until 1 and then you throw it across the screen, the other person might bounce it back at you, and it'll stay at 1 because
it won't blow up
until it hits the line.
But that was, again, a lot of fun. Could have been its own game on its own.
Definitely.
It was well thought out.
And then the first one you picked, we already mentioned. It has the 4. You know what? I just noticed that the cards, which is the 5 of diamonds, has the
up, down, left,
and right kanji on it.
That one, people playing this game could probably figure out by trial and error.
Well, all you have to do is look up up, down, left, and right in kanji, and then boom, you know it.
Just train your brain to know that instead of an up arrow, it's this bit of kanji.
It's simple once you learn it. Let's talk about the worst game first.
Sure.
And then let's talk about what I consider the funnest game last, because it reminds me of Die Hard, which came out I think it came out in the States as something Dynamite.
Dynamite Deca?
Dynamite Deca, that's right. So there's a racing game. It's like Mario Kart, except you don't throw anything at anybody.
Yeah,
and it's just split screen, and you just race around.
Again, this was another game that we played on the Raspberry Pi, so we don't know if maybe that was breaking it. But yeah, it was a split screen racer, and it was only showing my side of the screen. So Wiggly was trying to traverse a course that he could not see.
There's a map, just like in
Mario Kart.
Final Lap Twin or any type of racing game. There's a map. So I was trying to steer towards that map, and it just was wrong because I had to steer in the opposite direction to get on. So that was not fun.
But even if it was working correctly, you're not doing anything aside from
just trying
driving around. There's no like power-ups. There's no oil slicks. There's no throwing items at one another.
No.
It's just looping around a track. It's very boring.
You could probably bump into each other. I can't remember.
It's the weakest game of the bunch, and it's the only one of the bunch I actually did not have fun playing.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? I think there's more than 8 because there's that one where you're Boulder Dash. So what you're doing is both characters.
There's probably 12 games in total. Yeah, there is 12 games in total.
Oh.
Yeah, but
I can't remember some of them.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. This one, you're running down a mountain. It's a circular.
Oh, the Boulder Dash one.
Yeah, the Boulder Dash.
Yeah, it has a traffic sign with people running. I thought it was, the perspective would be you running up a hill and jumping hurdles. Instead, you were at the top of a hill running down, and you were jumping hurdles, but you were collecting pans.
Yeah, pans, apples.
Which are apples. And so you would collect these apples, and then whoever collected the most apples won once they got down to the bottom.
Right.
And then, if you hit a hurdle, it would knock you down, and then
fall over.
You'd have a period of time where you could not run, so the person would get a jump on you.
Both of your characters are running at the same time.
Yeah, you
sort
can
of
jump
like right
on
on
top
top of each other.
And you can jump on top of one another and knock them out or bounce off them.
You just bounce off from there.
Yeah.
Or you can headbutt them from the back, but I couldn't figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Or you can bounce off of them and make them run into the hurdle.
Or a branch.
There's a branch that comes out, and then they get knocked out by that. So that's a lot of fun to try to collect as many apples as we pans.
Yeah.
And there's another game like that where you collect gems and jewels, and so a lot of this collecting type of thing can happen where you injure the other person to try to get ahead in that mini game. Then there's one that I had the most trouble with, and I still don't understand it. You're in a shopping center. It's sort of like The Price is Right, but you have a bunch of coins in front of you, and they're yens.
Yeah.
Some are marked 50, some are 100, some are a penny, some are 5, some are 10. And you have those in front of you, and then the clerk behind the counter will hold up like cup noodle soup.
Yep.
And then you have to try to guess how much it costs, but then eventually
it'll tell
it spins up how much it costs.
Right.
And then you have to try to throw these coins at the clerk.
The goal is to not get any change back.
Okay.
You want to get rid of your coins. So when you start the game, at the top, it gives you a metric of how many coins you have in your purse. And so the cashier will show an item. You're right. They don't tell you what the item costs initially. The numbers are just spinning on the cash register.
Right.
And then I think it's always been a 3-digit number. And it will show you from right to left what the numbers are. So
because it's yen, so it has 1 decimal point over.
So they'll spin, and then it'll show you a 4. And then it'll spin and show you a 5. So it's 54. And then the third number will spin and it'll be a 3. So it's 354 yen. And using the coins you have in your purse, you want to get as close to that number as possible with getting the least amount of change back. And so
in a limited time.
Yeah, at the end of the time, whoever has the least amount of coins left wins. So there was different strategies I was applying to the game to try to win. And I lost the first time, but I won the second, which was the second time, get rid of your small coinage first. So you're only left with bigger coinage, and the bigger coinage
would be like for the roll of toilet paper.
Right. Eventually, you couldn't have enough money to purchase the items, so I was left with 11 coins, and then you had 18, but you kept getting coins back because you had so many coins that the change that came back to you was...
I went over, like The Price is Right.
You went over, yeah.
But you get change back.
I found it very clever. I know you weren't a big fan of it, but
no,
I thought
it's just hard because
it was clever.
It's because I don't know yens.
Right.
I know how much giant roll of toilet paper should cost. I know how much cup noodles should cost. And then there was one thing that had 4, I don't even know what they were. Bento box, maybe?
Yeah, the coins all have their denominations on them, except for what I believe to be the 5.
Which was the one with the
it was just like
square
a gold
in it?
coin, yeah. There was
square
one gold coin, 10, 20, and then, 50, 100. But it's all about just trying to get rid of the coins and get either no change back or very little change.
Okay, let's stop talking about that one because I hate it. That and the racing game. I would rather play the change one though than the racing game.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other one where you can bring bodily harm to your opponent while trying to collect jewels. This one is very bizarre to me, but it's fun to play.
Yeah.
So you're in a playground area with no swings or anything. There's just a bunch of fences around you. And there's this burglar. This burglar comes. He's got a giant bag of jewels.
Yeah.
And he jumps over the fence and he's like, "Oh no!
Right.
There's 2 people in here with fans."
Then you just beat the shit out of him with the fan.
You have fans, not electric fans. You know, the fans that you spread out, paper fans. And the goal is to hit the burglar, who is much like the little elf that comes by while you're sleeping in Golden Axe, and you kick his ass so he drops shit out of there.
Right.
You hit the burglar with your fan, and he'll drop the rubies and gems, and the red ruby's worth the most, and then there's a blue and a yellow.
Right.
But you could also hit your opponent with the fan, and they go face down, flat on the ground, just like in the hurdle jump. And you're laughing all the while you're doing it.
Yeah. This is a lot of fun. This reminded me and a lot of these mini games, I guess, could be applied to Mario Party. And if you're a fan of Mario Party, you definitely enjoy this game. But this particular game was very reminiscent of a Mario Party type of mini game.
But I got to tell you, I love Mario Party. You get sick of the part where you're on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, some of the mini games are not nearly as creative as what you play in this game.
I found this to be so much more fun than Mario Party.
Yeah,
and that's what I was trying to get at.
I agree.
So I was trying to get at. Mario Party, you can play with more than 2 people.
Yes.
And that's fun too. But once again, you got to go back to that board part.
Right.
Where you're just
Roll
like
the
running
dice
around and oh boy, I got a 1.
Yeah.
What part didn't we mention that I don't have in front of me? Oh, it was that Boulder Dash. What else do you think there was? Because I only know of one other one. Well, there's a Joker, which I unfortunately chose.
Right, and then it randomly selects.
It randomly selects ones, and it selected the racing game.
You know what? I could be wrong. Maybe there is only maybe 10, and it swaps in and out of the other ones.
I think it's 9. I'm gonna say 9.
Okay.
We don't look this stuff
9
up.
and a Joker.
So
because I can't remember anymore. There's only one more that we're gonna discuss.
Yeah, and this one we had the most fun with, and the most surprising turnarounds.
Right.
And it's very difficult to control. So both of your characters are on a rooftop. Each person has a barrel in front of them that you can hide behind. And at first you're given these Uzis. So all you do is you run around this rooftop and try to shoot each other with Uzis. Now you can't duck behind a barrel. You can just sort of run behind a barrel and bullets can't pass through there. Okay. But every now and then they'll drop a different type of gun in there that you have to pick up because you run out of bullets.
Yeah.
One being a bow and arrow, one being a pistol,
yeah,
and then one being a rocket launcher,
right,
where you shoot these giant rockets at people and they blow up.
Blast radius.
The blast radius is much like when you throw the bomb at people.
Yeah.
So I was kicking Kyle's ass, and I was doing so well, and I was like, yeah, I got the rocket launcher, and he didn't have anything in his hand.
Nothing. I was just running away.
I was blowing his ass up, and he's like, I had forgotten about the bow and arrow, and he goes, a bow and arrow? You got to be fucking kidding me. And he killed me. I had a rocket launcher, and he killed me with a bow and arrow. So a lot of fun with this game.
Yeah.
You got to find this game. And I got to tell you, any one of the puzzle and action games you won't be satisfied with. I mean, you won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed with. And I think the first puzzle and action game has like 16 or 18 games that you play.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of them are checkers and things like this.
Sure.
A lot of them are more like the Mario Party games, but they're all fun games. And like I said, we would import these titles, and my buddies and I would get together and play these, and we just had a blast. We just thought they were the greatest things ever created. And because they came out before a gun bullet,
right,
and because they would work just with a regular controller,
sure,
we just thought this was amazing. And we loved Bonanza Brothers.
You know what we forgot to mention?
Which one?
I'm starting to remember some of the other games. There's a mini golf game.
Mini golf.
Yeah.
That's right. It was very difficult. You only had 4 or 5 chances to sink it. I think
it was a par 4.
Par 4.
So you had 4 chances
and
to sink this putt.
It had a slope,
Yep.
It had a water hazard, which was right in the middle. So if you hit it up the slope on either side too much, it'd go into water hazard, and a frog would come up and knock it to the top of the thing. And then there was a sand pit in back of the hole.
Right.
That was fun, even though it was not as fun and
Slower
simple.
Paced. Yeah,
but it was needed, I think.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it was a needed game.
It was a
I think
good
it fit
change
well.
up.
Yeah, I think it fit well in there. So you're right. So that would make 8, 9, 10 games all together. So 10 games for this one. And much different, very different characters, very unique characters, not just the Bonanza Brothers. But try to find these. You might find them on the Sega Ages. You won't, I don't think you'll find this game. But you'll find the Puzzle and Actions on Sega Ages, the Virtual Console, PS2 even had one, the PlayStation Network, the Door Chime, the Sega Classic Collection. I think you'll like the Puzzle and Action. And remember, you're probably going to only know it as Puzzle and Action because that's the only thing that's in English.
Yeah.
Except for Treasure Hunt. You'll know Treasure Hunt.
Oh, and Level Up. Don't forget about Level Up.
Oh my gosh, we can't forget about when you get beaten.
Yeah.
And how the old man takes you by the feet and swings you around and throws you off screen, and a garbage can comes flying off. The gangster just bitch slaps you, and you go flying off screen and garbage cans come on. And something that Kyle noticed was that his gangster grew a thin, gangstery mustache.
Yeah.
And the more we played it, the more we realized that each time you won, and if you would progressively win 1, 2, 3, 4, and especially if you're playing by yourself, you'll notice this happening if you get to win. Your characters will become completely tricked out versions of themselves. So that simple Futurama robot.
Oh yeah, Bender turns into like
He'll he'll be
Voltron.
Transor Z.
Gundam.
Yeah, I guess it would be Gundam. And the dog, I don't really know
his
what the
lipstick will come out or something. I don't know.
That would be funny. The old man, I think, gets naked.
Oh yeah, he goes down to his underwear.
I don't know what
The pinus on his face
is a power.
Fully erect.
The girl gets different shades of glasses.
Yeah,
and she wears a different type of outfit. But the gangster's the most noticeable because of the mustache and the other things that occur to him. His suit gets nicer, and I think he gets like a zoot suit or something. Yeah. So. Because you get more money. So you got more money, you got more problems. More money, more problems, but also a nicer wardrobe.
Yeah, better looking costume.
Definitely. So try to pick up any of these puzzle and action games. You won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed with Bonanza Brothers either. So get the whole set. Get all 4. And like I mentioned, 4 you can't find. I don't even think that came out in Japan for the Saturn or anything else. Definitely not for the Dreamcast. But you can play it on MAME, and it plays very well. It says that it has problems with the music, and it says that it has problems with some of the graphics.
Us, yeah.
Well, it did for you, but I have a better graphic card.
Right.
So my music was perfect, and it might also be the emulator. You were using like MAME 7, Win32 MAME,
something like that.
And I'm using the newest version of MAME and the newest ROMs. So if you have the newest ROMs and newest version of MAME, you might not have any of the music problems. And it's not necessarily that it needs music, but the music isn't bad in it, and it especially helps to have the sound effects. So if you've ever played MAME and tried to play Virtua Fighter or Tekken, you will know that you get...
it's the worst. We didn't notice slowdown. Usually that's coupled with slowdown too. There was no slowdown for us, thankfully, or otherwise this game would have been unplayable.
Trave.
It wouldn't have been fun.
It wouldn't be as fun.
Right.
I think some of the games might have been okay.
What we're getting at is get your shit together so you can play this game correctly, because it is a lot of fun.
Get at least a gig graphic card or 2 gig. Put it in your off-the-shelf scratch and dent Dell computer, which I have like a $400 graphic card somehow shoved into
Dell.
my dent and scratch Dell because I needed Windows Vista to work with my light gun. My light gun, my light gun wasn't made to work with Windows Vista, but somebody somehow made this light gun work with it. And I got to tell you, I think one person built this light gun. and one person was in charge of the drivers. It's crazy, but it's a wonderful light gun. That's the neat thing about my MAME system, because I have it in a cabinet. I can use my steering wheel, and I built a very inexpensive steering wheel harness. If you do have a steering wheel and want to buy one that is a stand-up steering wheel harness, go to Home Depot and buy one of the plastic and metal fold-out horses. You know, a horse to hold wood, so you can saw in halves. These things are $20 to $30, and instead of getting a $100, $200, $250 custom built wooden stand for your steering wheel, you can just get this thing and screw it right to that. It's perfect, fits right in front of your game system if you have one, and it can go down low if you have your game system on a table or something. So you can put racing games to work with the racing games on MAME. You can get a light gun to work with the light gun on MAME. If you have Super Nintendo emulators, you can get the Super Nintendo joystick. And one of my favorite things to do is, because that N64 controller is so hard to emulate, you can take your actual N64 controller and get a USB adapter. Everyone wants to play fucking stupid Mario 3D. Worst game ever. Sorry. Nintendo's Mario 64, go suck my dick. Wow. Terrible game. You're backwards most of the time. You can't see. No, man. Come on. That game's awful. That game is awful.
I have to go back.
That's almost like Castlevania.
I don't know.
3D.
A few years back, friends of mine wanted to play GoldenEye so badly. Yeah. And that lasted all of 3 seconds, because we were just like, holy shit, this is so bad.
Right. But it's 4-player, and that's what made it fun. But I know Mario looks good, but when you're trying to climb on the edges of things and trying to do these really technical things, even though you have that analog joystick on the banana that sticks out the middle, it's so difficult and not so much fun.
The camera's kind of bad in that game too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The camera's awful. Played Castlevania 64, which was horrible as well. But what was I going to say about something that did control well, that was a 3D title like that? I can't recall. But play Wave Race, play
Wave Race is a lot of fun.
Play Mario Kart. Those all work perfectly with this. But the Bubsies and the
you're fucking playing Bubsies.
The things like that, the 2D games that they try to turn into 3D games. I'm telling you, man, Bubsy might as well be Mario 64. So I don't know how we got into that. Oh, with MAME. So yeah, try to play this game on MAME and try to play those other puzzles and actions. I keep saying try to play those other puzzles and actions. So now it's going into the haikus. I'm going to go first with the haiku because I don't think mine's that good. It's very heady.
Okay.
It's pithy.
Oh, okay.
So let's all relax into all that music I have to add post. Pain in the ass. Just like TT's Snap Stats. Oh my God. Why do I make things hard for myself? Let's begin. Minigame poker. Murder burglars with a fan. Puzzle and action.
All right.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I got. I couldn't fit puzzle and action 4.
No.
Yeah?
No. I feel kind of lame because mine starts like this.
Okay.
You ended with puzzle and action.
I did end with it.
I start like this.
Okay.
Puzzle and action. Coin counting at register. Bow and arrow wins. That's it.
We can't crap on this game at all. We can't.
No, it's
we
a lot
can't
of fun.
even make. There's no haiku long enough unless we do one of our 1394 13s that I invented.
Yes.
Then we can praise this game as much as possible. But it would behoove you to try to find this title. I don't know. Maybe you will think the graphics are simplistic, but if you like them, Jam and Lammy, if you still like,
it's stylistic.
What's
it's
his
not
name?
Parappa the Rapper.
You can't go wrong with this title. Even with the shitty control when you're doing the guns and stuff like that.
Oh, and the bullets bounce. We didn't mention the bullets,
but they don't bounce much.
No, it's one bounce off the wall.
One bounce. That part doesn't control very well, but it doesn't matter. It's so much fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Go find yourself a friend and play this game.
Indeed. I hope that you like us. Be a robot pimp. Bye-bye.
Gonna send the way you move. Gonna make you sweat. Gonna make you groove. And I like the way you shake that thing. Watch honey drip, I can't keep away. The news is shine, we're burning round. My dreams of you are through my hair. Charlie knows, and I found out what people mean by down and out. And I don't know, but I've been told a city living woman ain't got no soul. Black dog, black dog, black dog, black dog, black dog, black dog. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Trinidad, Ed Zeppelin.
I eat it all the time.
oh, oh.